Well, hi there. It's Casey Truffo from Be a Wealthy Therapist back, where our goal is to help you increase your impact and income. And I'm here on behalf of my colleague Joe Bavanese from Uncommon Practices. And we are wanting to talk to you about how to generate passive income by adding clinicians to your practice. This is our third video in this free learning series. In video number 1, we talked about what is possible, how much money you can make as a private practice owner because you have built your reputation in the community, your phone is ringing, and we want you to help keep the money in your practice that could be going elsewhere. Because I know for some of you it breaks your heart every time you have to refer out, knowing that you would love to serve that person. In video number 2, we talked both about the 7 secrets to success, what makes the difference between somebody who's good at adding clinicians to their practice, and we also talked about the mistakes to avoid for the people who aren't as good at it, because you want to start it up right from the beginning. And that actually leads us into video number 3, our third video in this free learning series, which we're calling 6 Steps to Getting Started. So how to generate passive income by adding clinicians to your practice. When I first started, there were literally dozens of things I had on my list to do, but I didn't know which needed to happen in what order. So based on my trial and error and based on some good advice I've received, I'm going to share with you, I think, the 6 steps that you need and in the order. So let's get started right away. So step number 1 is really be clear on your values. Now, I know it's kind of funny because you're thinking, should I hire a new person? How should I do my systems? What are the legal things I need to look at? And I promise you I'm going to talk about those both in this video and in our upcoming program. But let's start at the very beginning. If you don't know what's important to you in terms of your personal and your business values, if you have not concretized that and written that out, and you don't expand your business, meaning hire the right people and develop the right systems, with those values in mind, you're going to have an uphill battle. So let's just pause, take a breath, and look at that first. Now, I say this because in my center, VIP service was absolutely one of the most important values for me to offer to our clinicians. I made sure that the to the general public, I made sure that the clinicians that I brought in were willing to provide that level of service, which meant answering the phone as often as possible, getting back to somebody in less than 4 hours, and just treating them in a certain way. And when I hired people, I went through my values and I made sure there was a match. If you do that, that I think is going to save you a lot of time later. Now, step number 2 is one that a lot of you are asking about, and that is, let's make sure that you know your business model, your infrastructure. So there's really 2 ways to bring in additional clinicians. You can bring them in as contractors where they're 1099, or you can bring them in as employees where you set up their payroll and you either do it yourself or have a payroll service that you hire to do it. Now, there's pluses and minuses to both of these, and Joe and I will talk more about that in our upcoming class that we're doing on how to generate passive income. But in the meantime, I want you to think about, what is it you want? Do you want people that are coming in and actually your employees and you're offering benefits? Or do you want to have as little paperwork of that as possible? Do you want to have total control over their work hours, or do you want to work that out with them? These are questions that you ask in order to help you decide which you want to do. You can also talk to your accountant and your lawyer about that. Also, in your business model, you want to decide if you're going to be an insurance-based practice or a fee-for-service practice. And this becomes important because if you want to be a fee-for-service practice and you want to hire somebody who is on an insurance panel, when the people find out about them or they Google their therapist, they're going to see that their therapist is on the insurance panel and they're going to want to use their insurance benefits. So you want to from the get-go decide, am I going to be an insurance panel and the counseling center is going to be on the insurance panel? Am I going to be insurance-based center where the individuals that I hire are on insurance panels? This is just something that you want to think about up front. The step number 3, and again, we talked about the rest of these steps actually in other videos, but I wanted to go into a little bit more with them. You want to make sure that you know what kind of qualities you want in your associates. So going back to my example, VIP service is one of my 3 top core values. So I need to have somebody that has that Southern hospitality charm kind of way of working with people. I want them to really feel special, our clients that come in the door. Now, I know you all do, but these are one of my top 3 values. You may have something else for yours. Another thing you want to look at is, again, your level of experience. Some of you believe that in order to take on associates, you must take on students or unlicensed people and supervise them. That's not your only option. Again, in my center, we decided we wanted experienced people. We have them at different levels of experience, and we offer them at different fees to the public. But this is something that you want to know. Do you want to spend your time mentoring and doing supervision, or do you want to spend your time in other ways? Something to decide right from the beginning. You also want to look at your career objectives. Some of you wrote in our comments to the other videos, and I really appreciate you for that. Some of you wrote, would it be okay to hire somebody into my business who just wants some extra hours? And I'm not recommending that, because if they have their own practice and then you're bringing them into your practice in order to get a couple of extra hours, I'm not sure at what level they're going to feel commitment to you and to their position. So really think about, do you want somebody who is entrepreneurial or not? Step number 4, there are some legal things that you want to be looking at. One, again, is your business entity or structure. So are you going to be a corporation? Some of you have asked me about being LLCs. You want to talk to an attorney who knows something about your license laws in your state. So for example, in California, my attorney tells me that marriage and family therapists cannot own an LLC. Now, I know some of you are MFTs in California with an LLC, but my attorney says that is against the state law. There's also some things that talk about how you name your legal entity. So you really do want to reach out to an attorney, but make a list of the questions. So one of the questions you want to talk to him or her about is your business entity or structure. This next thing you want to know is insurance. So most centers need malpractice insurance for the center, and then the people within it need that. So check that out with your attorney and or your malpractice company. You also want to get your agreements down. Now, in the class, the Add Clinicians to Your Practice and Generate Hundreds to Thousands of Dollars of Passive Revenue, that's upcoming, we will be giving sample agreements out. But in the agreement, you're going to want to talk about what's required. You want to talk about the payment structure. You want to talk about what you offer. A lot of you are asking me about sharing the fee, if that is fee splitting. So if you give your associate clinicians 55% or whatever amount you choose, isn't that fee splitting? Actually, my attorney says no. You are paying them for working with the client, and a percentage that's coming back to you is not for the referral. It is for the marketing, it is for the space, it is for the systems, it is for the admin support. And again, always check things out with your attorney. Step number 5, this is the one that I think can be the most beneficial to you. And it's, again, pretty easy. You just want to identify the systems that you need to get started. Now, we are providing you with a PDF list of these so that you can print it out as you get started, but I'm going to go ahead and list them for you here. So the first system that you want to create is the answer to the question, how do you assess appropriateness? So at some point in time, you're going to have an admin person answering the telephone. You want to know what is appropriate for your center. So are you taking people who are out of recent hospitalizations? Are you taking people who are active drug abusers or substance abusers? You want to develop that and put that into a flow chart so that your admin person can then decide if this is the right referral for you. Your second system that you want to create is the system of assigning clients to therapists. How is that done? So again, you're going to create a flow chart. You might do it by location if you have multiple locations. You might do it by time of day if you have certain clinicians that work days, certain clinicians at evenings or weekends. You might do it by fee if you have different clinicians offering different levels of fee and somebody can't afford your senior therapist. They might have the money to pay for your junior therapist or your less experienced therapist. You want to put all this into a flow chart. Now, I do want to tell you that for those of you that will be joining us for the course coming up, I will be sharing with you my system and flow chart for assessing appropriateness and assigning clinicians. So it's just this giant flow chart that anybody could pick up and take it. Now, you will obviously want to modify it for your counseling practice, but I think you'll see it's pretty easy, and it's kind of exciting to have that all out of your head and on paper. The third system that we're going to look at is how do the clients pay you? So are you taking credit cards? Are you taking checks? You will want to get a bank account with your practice name on it, and then they will pay to the practice, and then you will then pay the clinician, which is also the fourth system that you need to get started, is how often are you going to pay them? And then how will you keep records? So are you going to have a cloud-based record system, or are you going to have papers, paper folders on site? So you get to decide all this. But these 5 systems, deciding appropriateness for the center, assigning clients to a therapist, identifying how clients pay and how associates get paid and how you'll keep records, are your 5 systems that you want to get started. And if you do this, probably tomorrow, if you've done a good hire, you could start. Now, you might want to take a little bit more time than that, but I just want to show you how doable this is. Again, this is on a PDF. You can print this out at passiveincomefortherapists.com. All right, step number 6, and I just have to tell you that this was one of the most important ones for me. You need legal support. So have an attorney that you work with that knows the laws in your state, that is your private attorney. Now, a lot of people will use their association attorney, and while I understand that, I'm recommending that you get your own attorney. Yes, it'll cost you a few $100s, but I'm telling you, knowing that somebody has your back and can help you on speed dial answer some questions, I think was extraordinarily helpful for me and gave me peace of mind. All right. Second, you're going to have some accounting questions. So there might be things about 1099s versus payroll. You might have some accounting questions and some bookkeeping questions. So don't be afraid to invest a little bit in getting some support there. And then finally, the thing that was the most important to me was getting some coaching support, some mentoring from somebody who had been there and who had made all the mistakes. And so that's what I want to make sure that you invest in that. I'm telling you, it will save it many times over. I've worked with many clinicians this year who did not do these 6 steps and did not get support, and their business has grown out of control, which is the good news, which is they have lots and lots and lots of income and they're serving lots and lots of people, but they're feeling overwhelmed. And it doesn't have to be that way if you start right from the beginning. All right, so I hope you enjoyed those 6 steps. And then in our next video, we're going to be talking about how you can get the step-by-step implementation plan to adding your clinicians. We're going to talk about how you can get checklists to keep you on track. And we're actually going to be announcing our program, How to Generate Passive Income by Adding Clinicians to Your Practice. We're going to give you a lot more detail about the systems you need. We're going to be talking about how to hire people, how to find people. We're also going to share with you my attorney who's going to talk to you about some of the legal questions, and he's actually going to do a legal and ethical Q&A. So for those of you that have questions, you can get some answers there. So again, on behalf of Joe Bavanese from Uncommon Practices and myself, we're happy that you joined us for this free learning series, How to Generate Passive Income, and I will see you on the next video. And please put a comment below. I read every one of them, and I look forward to serving you more. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.